Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2.
Find you out.
We're gonna start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, that's the right.
No,
Oh,
only me.
you're me?
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, my feet tingle, eight. There's the, Charlie horse in your arch, that's a good one for you. All right, I want to welcome everybody, audience introductions, Larry, why don't you go first?
Very Whitaker, concerned citizen of RSU 56.
Morning, Jason Long, middle school principal, curriculum coordinator for the district.
Kate Russell, long-term sub for ELA middle school.
Yeah, you and welcome. What? Oh, great.
Dylan Thompson,
No one put you in the corner. Okay. All right, we have some. Oh, there it is. Adjustments to the agenda. Could I get a motion, please? And you can see the adjustments.
So.
And a second.
Second.
All right. Any questions, comments? All those in favor? Thank you. All right, consideration of the minutes. The minutes of the October 28th, 2025 board meeting. Could I have a motion, please? And a second?
Second.
I assume since me and Bruce are the only hard copy, others read it ahead. Any comments, questions, revisions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Non-voting? Okay,
I didn't.
okay. Okay, I'm in the pile. Minutes of the November 5th. Special board meeting. Could I have a motion, please?
So move.
And a second?
Second.
I may concede, was I there? I don't think I was there, okay. Any comments or questions, revisions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, not voting?
Was it just Barbara now?
Barbie, Bruce, and Natalie. Okay. One more, I think.
So the live stream doesn't appear to be working.
Uh-oh.
That's what I'm getting at.
It's working here.
The live stream doesn't appear to be working.
Was I checked?
It's just a black screen with RSU 56 live stream saying that.
Run the,
The live stream doesn't appear to be working. That's what I'm getting at. The live stream doesn't appear to be working. Okay.
Essentially the link as well.
It's not me, it's a person that's texting me. Cause I certainly don't need it right now.
Okay, the minutes of November 12th special board meeting. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second them, I read it wrong.
Thank you.
Was that Tina?
Yeah.
Yeah. Comments, questions, revisions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, non-voting? Bruce? Okay. That's the end of the minute. Public comment. This is the time the public can make a comment. We don't have a podium, but you can come up down here if anybody has a comment. You coming, Larry?
Okay, let's stand right here.
I think we can, everybody hear him?
Well, the people on.
People online may not hear you. The little owl is the hearing.
I can.
Okay.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. A preempted Thanksgiving. There have been policy changes recently from the Department of Education. The department has changed the definition of what's considered a professional program from being classified as professional, which will impact federal student loan eligibility and borrowing limits for students in those fields. Thank you. I'll take something else. These changes are problematic and with consequences. Here's a list, and I say it for sure, of these changes for now. Education, including teachers' master's degrees, nursing, social work, public health, physician assistant, occupational therapy, physical therapy, ideology, speech therapy, speech language pathology, business masters, engineering masters, and counseling and therapy degrees. Why are these professions no longer considered professional degrees according to the Department of Education? Because the Department of Education is trying to cap the amount of money they can borrow for higher education. And if by defining these as not professional degrees, their cap is lower and they are coded female and often coded people of color. Whereas usually they're coded in which seems to be this is to restrict the professional employment and to make them unable to afford an education for people of color and women. Also included in the list of professions is appear to be coded male veterinarians. And the trick is this: veterinarians are now a majority male. Appears to me that the Republican Party are really making it very clear that the United States of America be white and male,
Has to do.
and for the rest of us to live in positions
Yeah,
of subordination or white men.
Yeah.
So why am I referring this to the Department of Education implementing policies that discriminate against minorities and females? Not surprisingly, Republicans' policy platform were made to discriminate against the marginalized transgender population. Quote,
There's.
as a candidate for Congress in 2026 election, LaPlage has reiterated his position on issues related to gender identity.
Okay,
On the
education.
flank
period.
of his class campaign website, they focus on parent bill rights and fighting what he calls extreme woke agenda in schools, a stance that has previously involved primary education. Moreover, during his time in 2011 to 2019, LePage consistently opposed legislation protecting transgender rights. So why am I bringing this attention to the board? This board in the past has tried to ban books on transgender issues, ban the use of bathrooms, and other issues that discriminate against this marginalized population. Just a reminder, in my November 12, 2024, public comment, I stated the following. What should concern the voters of this, what should concern the voters who have given the school board of RSU 56 an opportunity to make tough decisions is this. There have been some board members in the past have voiced some of this verbiage similar to that of Project 2025. Quote, some board members read excerpts regarding academic learning that takes a backseat to social, emotional, gender, and race. It has also been recorded. If teachers can't control their classroom, that needs to be handled. If they don't, we need gender, sexuality, and CRT to have a safe environment. Quote, some use media sources that were disseminating misinformation and lies to deceive the public and this board. Quote, it has been stated in public that someone common sense education should focus on academics rather than race, pronouns, gender, and sexual orientation. I conclude with the following and quoted during my public comments on February 11, 2025. On January 14th, a board member stated the following about my public comment, quote, I would like to add, and we should be stringent about public comments and political commentary that is not related to school. Video marker 12513. I hope these words resonate throughout the school board in the future. Moreover, I hope the aforementioned statements will not be in public view during the coming year. The school board was elected to concentrate on the success of our students, the protection of our teachers, develop a curriculum that promotes those successes of all students, and making RSU 56 a positive learning experience. not making it into a political firefight that divides RSU 56, but unites so all students can become educated citizens. Thank you for your consideration on this matter, LJW.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
All right. Don't, anybody else in public comment? Oh, boy, communications,
I have no new communications over the board.
old business, Bruce, do you have anything for region?
Well, we did not meet last month,
Okay,
so this month, should I say?
all right. New business, second reading of the proposed revision for policy GCFE, recruiting and hiring of administrative staff. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second,
Second.
there's been no changes since the first reading. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you. Second reading of proposed revision for policy DJH, purchasing and contracting procurement staff code of conduct. Could I get a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
No changes since the first. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Last, second reading of proposed revision for policy DN school property disposition. Yeah, I almost have. Could I get a motion, please? And a second? There's been no changes since the first reading. Comments or questions? All those in favor? Thank you. Board member comments. I see. Anybody have any board member comments?
Which is Sherilyn. I had the opportunity this year to attend the Veterans Day luncheon at the middle school. It's the first time that I've attended that, and we had a family member that came. And that family member is native to Maine, but not local in our 4 communities. And just wanted to give public kudos, the family members that were there, gave high praise to our staff and students for putting that on, for the respect that they showed. It was a really neat panel discussion, I think, with a number of the veterans that were there. So I thought that was very well done.
Thank you. Brad,
Good job every year.
I was very fortunate to be invited to middle school last, was it Thursday, Jason? Yep. To judge some debates. I think we did 4 classes, and it was fun to watch the 8th graders and Mrs. Sears' class debating topics such as whether the death penalty was right or wrong. Should art be judged? What's the other one? Do you remember? Yeah, like the-
Should college be free?
Yes, should college be, yeah. It was varying results across the classes, but it was neat to see them try to use their critical thinking skills. They often got twisted up, and I think I know myself as a judge really struggled to stay quiet. It started to fall apart at the end. Yeah, but it was a lot of fun. It was nice to see in Jason's school and Mrs. Sear taking on some pretty tough subjects, because they were tough to argue. So it's nice to see. Thanks for the invite.
my only other board comment, and I usually say it at the end of the year, but I'll say it this year, that I really appreciate how well as a board we do our committees and the involvement, and it really is made a big difference.
We're not busting on each other all the time. I see some boards across the state that are struggling.
Yeah, and I think we've learned and we see, and I think that's great. Any other board member comments? Okay, moving on, superintendent's report.
I would like to start this with the new hire section so that our new hire does not have to sit through everything, and you would be so kind as to allow that to happen. I apologize, I did not send the resume out ahead of time. I did just send it out to all of you. It's just totally slipped my mind. But Mr. Long, would you like to introduce our new hire for the evening?
I would. So I'm excited to introduce you, if you don't already know, Kate Russell, this is Kate Russell. Kate, began her educational journey at, Hiles Anderson, Indiana, many years ago. Began college wanting to be a teacher and then went in a kind of a different direction. I first came to know Kate as a community member who was a parent. I would say prolific and award-winning foster parent. And as time went on, I was able to observe how gifted she is working with kiddos. And we had a chance I was actively recruited through a mutual friend for an ed tech position, and Kate joined us as an ed tech a number of years ago. Really excelled, and I could see an increasing ability and I think desire to sort of have a classroom of her own. And so then this past year, Kate took on the responsibility of being our ELA interventionist, which is a different type of ed tech role in most schools. When the former ELA teacher moved into a principalship elsewhere, there were really big shoes to fill. And I'm so grateful that Kate was willing to step into that role as a long-term sub as we were getting other things figured out. Kate now has her emergency certification. Kate is enrolled in classes at University in Farmington and has an articulated plan to finish her bachelor's degree with a school in Indiana that now offers online courses as well. Kate is gifted when it comes to making a kid feel safe and motivated. And I think that she's really well suited to the sixth grade. When you make the step from elementary school to middle school, every kiddo in Kate's room feels safe and is willing to take risks in the room with her. And I think that all of the other stuff about being an English teacher, she's learning and will keep learning. But some things you can't teach, you either have it or you don't. And Kate has it. And Pam and I observed her together. And I think that she's ready. I think this is our English teacher. I'm looking forward for your consideration.
Okay, I entertain a motion.
I will second it.
Oh,
I'll.
you did not move it. You second it. Comments or questions? You use my word. You either got it or you don't. Any other questions? All those in favor? Welcome officially.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kate, I'll be calling. We have paperwork to do that.
So now I'll jump into my report. So the FY 27 budget process is behind the scenes underway with the administrative level. I did send out a Google form to all the staff, as well as I put it out on our social media sites, asking for input from staff and community members on what they would like to see, what they think, you know, where the budget should be. Is there anything that they think that we could reduce? Is there any areas that we think we're lacking in, and that sort of stuff. I will be providing an overview of the budget process at one of our January board meetings, so stay tuned. It's coming at you fast and furious after the holidays. I'm sure you've heard and seen on our social media sites that we have a new SRO, Steve Krantz. He's quickly acclimated to being our SRO here in RSU 56. He has previous experience being an SRO in Oxford Hills. I think it was around 10 years that he served over there. And I just want to publicly thank Chris Wainwright and Dana Thompson. They are the two from Oxford County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff and the Major, for their really quick response. I messaged them as soon as I received the resignations from our previous SRO, and I'm like, what are we gonna do, guys? We can't go without an SRO very long. And they were very responsive. They were able to get it filled pretty quickly, but also not without working me into the solution. They asked for him to come over and meet me. We went around and met the other principals of the schools. They were very good about keeping me involved in it. It's not hey, this is your person and you don't have a say, but they were super responsive, and I appreciate it. Since our last regularly scheduled board meeting, I have spent a number of days in all three of our schools, and I just have to say, I've observed in classrooms, I've covered IEPs, I've covered 504, I've handled behaviors from principals so they can be in classrooms. And I even met Terry on a couple of occasions.
Yes, I thought the other day she was Terry.
It was, I have been like in lots of different positions and I just love having that opportunity. I enjoy those days being out there and I think it really helps me as the superintendent to have a strong understanding of what's happening all across our district and all of our buildings and all of our departments. So just really appreciate it. And I will go into our administrative reports. Mr. Long, you are up for my docket.
Okay, so be it. All right. I shared it with streaming.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's that?
Yeah, you can go ahead on that, if you want to put it up on the board.
The board.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
You don't do it from the streaming account?
No, you can actually, do it here, you know.
Okay.
On the screen here. All right, be set to go.
Don't get to share it with you, Jason.
Yes, ma'am. That is the name of this bad boy here, SCC projector or SCC? All right, it says it is currently in use.
I'm not in James. We have gone to specific. Back to the future.
All right, you got to.
So is your arm on the?
Good. I'm still doing my physical therapy to get them.
All right, victory. All right. Good evening. This is our middle school's fall building report. So entering the school year, as a district, we have 3 areas of focus, and I just wanted to be upfront about what that means at the middle school. Engagement, rigor, and attendance. For engagement, some of the changes that we've instituted is we now have Region 9 experiences. It's a really cool thing we put together over the summer. Once a month, a different Region 9 program comes to the middle school. And kiddos can spend the points they earn from good attendance and other things in our positive behavior system to be able to join an activity. That is engaging. We've been able to rejuvenate some of our after-school clubs. Drama Club has come back. We now, instead of having a debate at the middle level, we have a strategy club. We've seen an increase in numbers there. Mr. H has a drum line and a pep band coming together with middle school kiddos. We've been putting in place things to encourage classroom debates. I think a major piece of engagement is having a phone-free school and the Yonder Pouch initiative that Halen did so much work to get us ready for. And then at the 6th grade level, we replaced how we were doing RTI block, and we replaced with something we're calling back to basics, where every day, every 6th grader gets a mini lesson prepared by Mrs. Hamalainen on a back to basics topic. Sometimes it's basic math facts, sometimes it's vocabulary, sometimes it's writing in cursive, like truly back to basic stuff. And it's done in a mini lesson format, which you get and you do it and you move on. And then the kiddos switch. Half the 6th grade then goes to snack and is able to have recess. And it is the first time I've instituted recess at the middle school since my first year, when it didn't go very well. But this new format, it's just sort of like just enough time to run around and get the jiggles out without turning into, why don't you have a playground for this? And yeah, so in those ways, I think we've increased engagement. In terms of rigor, we now offer a gifted and talented writing section, 8th period at the end of the day. The biggest sort of systemic shift, we had a 50 as the lowest possible grade on an assignment at the middle school for like the last 8 years. No longer the case. Our numbers are such that we don't need that circuit breaker anymore. So lowest possible grade is a 0. It is harder to pass a class because of it. I also challenged my staff and removed, there wasn't a lot of it happening, but there was some, open book content assessments. Made that illegal. We have shorter makeup work windows. So when a kiddo misses an assignment or seeks to retake an assignment, it was a longer period of time that they were able to do that. Now the rule in the school is 3 days. And we have enhanced our school-wide eligibility check system so that once every 2 weeks, every single kid in the school, we check grades on a Friday. A grade check is prepared and handed out to homerooms on Monday. If they bring that home and get it signed by Wednesday, fantastic, but if they don't bring it home, then we call home by Wednesday to say, hey, why aren't you checking Power School? Kiddos fail in a class. And then, as it always has been, they have to get the class fixed by Friday, or else they're not eligible for the next 2-week period of time. And in terms of attendance, I now count attendance as part of our school-wide point system, which results in me doing an entire school-wide attendance check every week to update the little point system that we have. As part of being a bar school, our Community Connect group really focuses on attendance. So there is a team that meets once a week, and our meeting starts by looking at attendance trends. As I said earlier, we've tied attendance to the point system. I'll talk more about that later. We've reinstituted some consequences that went away due to COVID, but COVID isn't here anymore, so why did they go away? They should stay away. So now if you are tardy to school 3 times in a trimester, you have a detention, just like you used to. And finally, we added, this was something that the teachers came up with, we added additional bells. Actually, we didn't even have this. We added bells, made a formal bell schedule to help the transition time between classes. And attendance isn't just showing up to school, it's being in class while you're there. All right. Enrollment update. Since July 1st, we've had 5 students withdraw or move away, and we've had 4 new students enroll. Compared to last year, we have 8 fewer students, but that is not because of people dropping out. It is because the 6th grade that came in is smaller than the 8th grade which left. You can see that the 6th grade is only 54 kids. I think that, well, I know that last year it was 62 kids in what's now the 9th grade. And as of that figure is wrong down below. I should have taken that out. Attendance data. We have 1 active truancy case. I'm working with the SRO regarding that. No other students have so much as a truancy warning at this time. We also track for chronic absenteeism in the state of Maine. If you miss 18 school days over the course of the year, you are labeled as chronically absent. That is a really important figure, because if you consistently do that, there's all kinds of research that says you're gonna have a hard time graduating from high school compared to your peers. However, in a community like ours, see, the state doesn't make any type of differentiation for a kid who misses 5 days because they went to the fair, or a kid who misses 5 days because they had a big opportunity to go on a moose hunt. Like everything, an absence is an absence is an absence. So that being said, when I was putting this together yesterday, we had 23 students who in the school or have had 6 absences, meaning that they're at risk of getting to 18 by the end of the year. But I will tell you that that is less than the 38 that we had last year at this time. And worth noting that 5 of those 23, like, it's exclusively due to family trips that they've had that many absences. It was fair season, and I'm gonna defend fair season until they put me in the ground. Some attendance data over time. This past year was our first year as a bar school, and it actually resulted in our middle school having its lowest rate of chronic student absenteeism since we became RSU 56. We were below the state average in terms of the percentage of middle school students who were chronically absent, and we're off to a better start this year. So that's encouraging. We'll take that as a step in the right direction. Course completion data, I present this to you every year. As you know, you have to pass all of your classes at Deerfield Middle School in order to go to the next grade. And you can see over time how the number of students who required summer school got smaller and smaller. So now we're kind of raising the bar. All right, now it's a 0 instead of a 50 for missing assignments. It's a work in progress as of today, and there are teachers taking some work home to grade because the trimester ended today. But there are 21 students when I left the building today that had at least 1 failing grade. So that number is high, but that's to be expected. We just made a major shift to the way their averages are calculated. All right, let's talk about NUIA scores. This past fall, if you take a look at the bar up top, you can see the red, the orange, the yellow, the green, the blue. So yellow is sort of the average bucket, green above average, blue well above average, orange below average, red well below average. Overall, as a building in mathematics, And I chose to use achievement data. Because the last time I presented this, the point was made that. Of course, you have more growth because your achievement data is low. And I think that that is a fair argument. So I'm going to present both of it to you today. That as a building, we scored in the 443rd percentile nationally. For achievement on the math assessment. And that puts us in the normal bucket, the average. And in terms of our growth percentile, fall to fall, we're the 47th percentile. Both of those scores were the average range and an improvement over our fall performance last year. In reading, we scored in the 48th percentile for fall achievement based on national norms, and our fall to fall growth was in the 54th percentile. Both scores are again in the average range and are an improvement upon our scores fall of last year. Now, I'm going to, as I continue to do these things with you over the course of the year, I am no longer going to compare the fall test to the spring test. Because the spring test is fundamentally different now than it used to be. But the fall test is similar to how it used to be. So it is more valid to say fall to fall scores and spring to spring scores. So that's why I'm presenting this the way that I am. We are in the second year of our implementation of BAR. BAR stands for Building Assets and Reducing Risks. And what I have found as an administrator that has really helped me in creating structures and systems to make sure that teachers are doing a lot of the legwork and making our school run better and make sure kiddos don't fall through the cracks. One of my weaknesses as a principal is I see a problem and I want to fix it. Well, I can't be the solution to every problem. And the structure and system with the support of the school coach that we have is putting teachers in a position where they're taking a lot more ownership. And stepping up into leadership roles to improve things in the middle school. So we have a big block meeting, at least once, usually twice a month, where we as a whole staff will discuss complicated student concerns following a very specific procedure. And we also have small block meetings. Those are more by grade level. Those happen 2 times a month. But then in addition to that, the teachers are volunteering to give up their prep time to meet additional times during the week to talk about the kiddos that they're concerned about and come up with plans. That is not something I asked them to do. That is something that they did on their own. Once a week, we have a community connect meeting. That is a meeting with kind of all of those other types of professionals. So the school resource officer, the nurse, the social worker, the BAR coordinator, the school secretary, because if we're looking at attendance, the school secretary ought to be in the room. We're meeting once a week and looking, like I said, primarily at that. And then something that's not a BAR structure, but was BAR inspired. I have faculty leaders. And there are 3 of them. They receive a stipend and it's a formal thing and there are tasks that I ask of them. But those 3 folks do not represent all of the perspectives I should have around a table when I'm making a school-wide decision. So now I also have something called the faculty council. So the faculty leaders are part of that, in addition to making sure I have a special ed teacher, making sure I have an ed tech, making sure I have a 6th grade teacher. And that little larger group, we meet once a month and we talk about how to tweak systems and procedures for the school. And that's helped me avoid some blind spots. Sometimes you meet in a room, you come up with a plan and you didn't ask an ed tech, you will live to regret that decision.
That's the BAR coordinator for the middle school, because I know Stacy.
Yep, Sarah Bragdon,
Okay.
she's doing an exceptional job. And because it was in my budget, the budget passed, we'll be sending her to the national conference this coming April. Our coach is very proud of us, and the Maine Department of Education is actually coming to see our school as a BAR school in year 2 because they think we're doing good. They want to come show us off. So that'll be next week. Yeah, next week. This is a survey from the beginning of the year, asking how do you feel about our work with BAR? And you can see that I had 2 folks on the staff at the beginning of the year who were neutral. Everyone else was positive. This was a completely confidential and anonymous survey just for teachers. And I think that that's a good thing that they're buying into this because it really is asking them to do a lot more communication and a lot more work. Gosh, they care about kids and they're seeing some positive results. And it's easy for a teacher to get excited when you start to see positive results. Overall, behavior management reporting at the middle school. So, as you know, everything used to go into Swiss, and like 2 years ago, I had 1,400 office referrals. It was a completely non-sustainable way for me to run a school with the behaviors that I was seeing. We now have a system where if a student needs to take a break in the office, whether it is the teacher who feels that way or the student. One break, okay, and we track it and everything, like there's a spreadsheet, we write down where they came from, what the reason is, when they come in, when they clock out. If you are in the office twice in one day, at the very least, I'm gonna contact your home. And if you're down there 3 times in one day, I am not sending you back to class. Because I have learned the hard way over a decade, that if you've had trouble in 3 out of your 8 classes and I send you back, you're probably gonna do something that gets you suspended or disrupt learning for others. You're having a bad day. I'm all done, you're hanging out with me. We also now have, driven by teacher initiative, a daily detention duty. So basically, as we were putting more ownership and local control back on our behavior expectations, there were teachers who wanted to sign half an hour detentions, not the full hour office detention that I do, but a half an hour detention. The trouble is teachers have lives. And maybe I want to issue this for Tuesday, but I'm not available on Tuesday. So they came together on their own without me and came up with their own rotation of, all right, I'll stay Friday, you stay Tuesday, and the teachers are sending each other to each other's detentions. And I just think that's BAR. That's the influence of BAR. They're getting together and solving their own problems, not waiting for me to do it, because I don't know how to do most of it. We've also changed our use of Swiss to be more similar to how Charlie uses it, where we're only putting now into the reporting system things that are truly majors that really have to require the principal's attention. So it looks amazing on paper, like we've got all this drop in discipline and behavior. That's not really true. We're recording it in different places. But I will tell you, compared to last year, we have fewer check and checkouts, which are our tier 2 behavior plans. We have fewer individual crisis management plans, which are tier 3 things that you need for kids with real behavioral issues. We have had fewer office referrals in Swiss even compared to last year. We have had fewer office visits than compared with last year. As part of BAR, we are seeing much more communication home. In fact, I've had several parents tell me, why do you call us so much? It's sort of funny, because a couple years ago it was, why don't you call us? I will tell you though, I've had just as many DHHS. I've had just as many, those sorts of concerns that I've had to deal with. But as a school, it doesn't always feel like it. It still feels like it's a really, really hard job to run a middle school in 2025. But compared to where we have been, we're moving in the right direction. I will also be very frank. I adore all the kiddos who have come through my building. The current 9th and 10th grade was very challenging, and some of our changes have come out.
To know that.
I didn't give up on them. I did everything that I could. But some of these differences are just the byproduct of who's in the cohort. When you run a small school, a handful of personalities can really pivot things, change things. So, and just to give you a sense, so this is last year at this time, the number of referrals that were, and this is an apples to apples comparison because we used Swiss the same way last year. So these are truly just big deal things that require a principal. Not somebody said something bad under their breath and got a half an hour detention, like the big stuff. Last year at this time. And then this year, and you can see it, right? The 8th grade went to Caleb. The 7th grade went over to my 8th grade for this year. And my 6th grade stayed in the same neighborhood. My incoming 6th grade is in the same neighborhood. So things are getting better. But I don't want to take all the credit. I do think different cohorts present different challenges and opportunities. And I think we have to be realistic about that. I'm not just going to stand here and tell you we figured it out. But one thing we did figure out is a school-wide point system. So for a long time, if you're on check and check out, if you're on one of these behavior plans, you earn points. You can turn the points in for different incentives and things, and it's lovely. But last year, it was a really great point was made. Hey, Jason, why is it you have this great reward system and the only kids eligible to get any of the awards are the ones who have made such bad decisions that they're now in a behavior plan? That doesn't seem right. So, okay, all right, how am I going to create a school-wide system that benefits everybody? And this is what we came up with. Everybody can earn points. Every 2 weeks that you have perfect attendance in my building, you get 2 points. From time to time, I will have a contest and a dance-off at the Halloween dance. And I can just willy-nilly award points like the benevolent dictator that I am. Teachers teachers can hand out what we call cougar paws. These are sort of like caught doing good type of a thing, and then every Friday we also have a raffle from those. But those are worth points. Every 2 weeks, we check your grades. Actually, now it's twice every 3 weeks, because I check them at the beginning of the cycle and at the end of the cycle, then there's 1 week off. And every time when I go to check, if you're passing all your classes, you get another 2 points. If you happen to be on check and check out, you also get points for that. But every student, any growth you show on the NWEA, you get a point for every point of growth. If you achieve at a higher level, because it's harder to increase in points once you're already at a higher level, there are bonus points that you get if you are achieving at or above. And so as a byproduct of this, we have aligned this school-wide point system with what we say our values are. If you have good attendance and you are passing your classes, you are going to be getting points on the regular that you can then turn in either for prizes, 6th grade likes prizes, activities, 7th and 8th grade likes activities, or experiences. Everyone likes the experiences. Prize drawers. This is where I have a 5-point drawer, little fun stuff, fidgets, and their kids, as soon as they get points, they want to spend them, they just whoop, whoop, whoop. A 10-point drawer, a little bit nicer stuff. It's some bulk sunglasses I bought from Amazon, some earrings. The 20-point drawer, now we're really talking serious, you know, we got some good water bottles. We have some art supplies that have been donated. I've got some baseballs, some better toys, this little popper thing that's really fun. 25 points, big deal, 25 points. You can redeem that for a coupon for a free item from the snack cart. Gotta tell you, it's worth like 85 cents to $1. But to see a kiddo who never has pocket money get to go up, when their friends get to go up and just, you know, get the little sweet treat and whatever it is that they're selling, I think it's great. I think it's great. You want to save your points? 40-point drawer. I've got some sports equipment in there. I've got some big drawing pads. I've got some beach games, tennis balls and things. And then prices subject to change, first come, first serve. Once I run out of money, the prices go up pretty fast. Some of the stuff I have in the drawers is donated. A lot of it is left over from previous years. And we have a little bit of money every year for PBIS purchases, and we buy bulk stuff. And then we have the activities. The big one is Reward Gym. I do that almost once a week, once every couple of weeks during Learning Lab. If you're passing all your classes, I won't let you redeem your points if you're not passing all your classes. You can redeem your points, and for 10 points, you get a free gym period. That's pretty exciting in the 8th grade. You want to spend 20 points, you can bring a friend, as long as your friend is also passing all their classes. And then some other things, because I've had kids come forward because they're not in the gym. I have one kiddo, I love it. He wants to play chess with me. About once a month, he spends his points and he comes down and he and I play a game of chess. Oh, sometimes being a principal is fun. That's one of those things. And then we have the experiences, like I said earlier. So Region 9 sends a different program over to us once a month, and they host a special experience. Such as working on small engines, cooking with a culinary program. That's what's going to be happening in December, carpentry, outdoor activities, and much more. So you can see our September Region 9 experience. The outdoor leadership program came, and the kids came, and they taught our kids how to fly fish, cast a fly rod. That was pretty cool. And we hold that once a month. Last month it was good gravy, heavy machinery. And the activity, so he literally brought like a skidder, they all climbed all over the skidder. And then the activity that went along with it is he gave them little Lego sets. And one person had a walkie-talkie and the instructions. 2 other kids had a walkie-talkie and the Legos, and they weren't allowed to see each other. I put a bunch of the kids with the walkie-talkies on the stage, other kids in the music room, and his point was, now imagine driving a skidder and your foreman is telling you where to put something and how to build it. And if you can't understand and communicate effectively over a walkie-talkie, you shouldn't be behind the wheel. And the kids thought, this is nothing, I can put Legos together. Not one of them built it. So how many points are the kids earning? Well, if you come to school every day, that's 8 points a month. You're passing all your classes, that's 4 to 6 points a month. If you're kind of having good behavior, if you're on check and check out, or maybe you get a cougar paw a week. That's another 4. You're trying your best. Who knows? I had kids grow on the NWA by 20 points. Cash those in. So, and then there are a handful of kids who don't ever turn their points in because they just want to have the most points by the end of the year. So I've got like one kid with 101 points right now, and everyone's like, just give me the coupon for the candy. All right, so that's the happy stuff. What needs improvement? So with higher expectations in place, course failure rate will need attention. I only have $4,000 budgeted for summer school. If my numbers explode, that'll be really tricky and I'll have to figure it out. Learning lab time. This is sort of, we just had a meeting yesterday about this. Learning lab is the modern version of what study hall used to be. And it's really frustrating for us because we feel like our students waste their time. We feel like they waste their time. And that's the time of day where I get the most behavioral reports. So we're gonna try out some new ideas in the second trimester. We don't allow socializing, we don't allow games on the iPads, like it is not, no, like. Do work, draw, put your head down, or better yet, sign up for band. But you're not, the trouble is that you're middle school, you're tired by the end of the day. But I know I have 20 kids failing classes who probably could have used their learning lab better, so I'm not done fighting that fight. Another problem that we have every year, I continue to have a small number of students with a high level of need. 6 students represent half of the behavioral referrals in school. Feel like it's that way every year. And I go to great lengths to create plans. I never give up on a kid. But that continues to be a real question mark, not just here, I think everywhere. Another area of improvement, I'm really encouraged by our fall NUIA scores. But I want to tell you that our spring NUIA scores, even though we had good growth last spring, and I had to dye my hair because of it. They lag behind, like we do better on the fall and the winter NUIA than we do on the spring, ever since they changed the spring one. And I want to figure that out, and I don't feel like we figured that out yet. And then finally, we anticipate next year having more students enter the middle school right out of the gate in 6th grade, needing accelerated math instruction. This is because at the elementary level, we have begun to do some fluid grouping so that even though you're in Mr. Thompson's class and you're in somebody else's class and you're in somebody else's class, all the students who are ready for a higher level of math are getting together at the same time that they have Mr. Thompson. And so you have 3 teachers teaching math at the same time. So they can all go back to being in their regular class, but just for math, they're kind of with their likability level. When they get to my building, I'm not structured like an elementary school. And not in an elementary school, every teacher teaches math. That's the expectation. In secondary education, it's a math teacher and a social studies teacher. So what it used to be is we'd have a handful of kids who are kind of like in a GT math situation. They saw the GT teacher. That's how they got their math instruction. We're now entering a point where like 18 kids are coming in with a class of 56 who are all going to need accelerated math next year. I can't just keep putting them in the GT classroom. The GT classroom is filling. So how we're going to solve this, a good problem to have. I got more kids ready for advanced math. Good problem to have. But I'm gonna need the board's help coming up with a way to solve it. Clubs and activities. I project this every year because I'm proud of it. For a small school, we have a lot of clubs and activities available. The picture, Barbara, I put that picture for you, top right corner. Guess what that is? That's a civil rights team at the middle school.
Oh my
There's people
gosh.
in it. Yay! Yeah. Yep, and they had t-shirts made. They were all happy about their t-shirts. We also had the student council did a great job running a food drive for us, and you can see there in the lower right-hand corner. We have a pretty well stocked right now food pantry, as well as our cougar den with clothing, and our middle school hygiene shop that also gets frequented, needless to say. And then school events, we had our orientation activity there like every year. This year at open house, 88% of our students had a parent present. Student council elections, we had a Halloween dance, Spirit Week and food drive we just saw. Thank you, Natalie, for the kudos for our 4th annual Veterans Day luncheon. I think that's really become a tradition we'll always keep. And our parent teacher conferences, we had over 250 actual conferences. 43% of the students in my school had a parent attend, which isn't too bad. So. Go Cougars, any questions?
I just wanted to know if there was any correlation to the absentees and the failing at this end of the quarter. Was that any correlation right now?
So the short answer is yes, like I haven't run I haven't like taken out my statistics math book and like determined exactly, you know, if it's scientifically a
Yeah.
correlation, but generally speaking, yes, we know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I think your presentation was just amazing. I think you're doing,
thank you, we're working hard.
you are working it, and I just wanted to know if that was a correlation. It seemed like that could be like where it's coming from.
A lot of it is, yeah, a lot of it is.
That's really, see,
Two questions, Jason.
Sorry.
During your presentation, I didn't want to stop you because you're doing such a good role. But you talked about 23 students were failing one grade. What do you mean by failing one grade?
There was 21 students and they're failing one class.
Okay,
So one class or more. So I didn't project the number. Okay, so in a school, 171 kids. As of today, at like noon. 21 kids had at least one class with a failing class average. So you get a grade each trimester of each class that you take at the middle school. So like my history class, I will get a first trimester grade of that. And if at the end of the first trimester, you don't have a 70 or better in your history class, you are going to summer school to fix that history class. I don't do year averages. It's 3 terms and you have to pass each term or go to summer school.
my second question is, you talked about, you had at one time, you had your bottom line was at 50, you've now changed that and you no longer have a bottom line at 50.
Yes.
When did you change that?
For this year.
Yeah.
Just beginning at this school year?
Yes.
Okay,
So really, the 21 numbers, a little better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was gonna be a really rude awakening, especially for the 8th graders. But teachers have been clamoring this for a couple of years. I've had parents clamoring for this for a couple of years. My attitude was. I believe in accountability. Well, I only have so much money to spend.
Right.
So I can't have a summer school with all 171 students. So we got a system in place where we were pretty comfortable helping kids get across the finish line. To the point where we only had 11 kids need summer school last year. Okay, now we're ready. 0's back. And my hope is that by the end of the full school year, you know, I'm only back to maybe having 30 or so kids who will need summer school, because I think that's what I can afford as is.
so it really, like I said, my question, as it says there, at least one failing, so it's one failing class, not a grade. I was thinking of a grade, they had a test and they failed that
No,
one
sir.
test.
No, sir.
That's what I was,
Overall,
that's what I was,
course reduction.
Failing grade of
Okay.
the class.
no, that's the class, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
On
Thank you.
another note, you look great.
I was gonna
Thank
say, you
you.
look less stressed too. You look,
You
well,
look
you
good.
look less stressed.
You
Thank
look
you.
good. The blonde is growing out.
Yeah, that's
nice.
almost going. I look like a skunk, like I have this like strip, but it's almost. Gone.
No,
It'll
that's,
take time.
any other questions for Jason? Go ahead, Carl.
You gotta run what the Swiss is and the CICO is by me again.
Yes, sir.
Real quick.
SWIS stands for School-Wide Information System. It's the behavior tracking software that we use. And so really and truly, like what an office referral used to be, that's a SWIS report. Because plenty of things need disciplinary reaction by teacher, but the stuff that comes to me goes through there. CICO is check in and check out. That is the tier 2 behavior plan, where a kiddo has 2 areas of focus each period in terms of like, we're focusing on this behavior and this behavior, and at the end of the period, the teacher will give them a score of a 2, you did what you expected, 1, 0, that was not hot. Check in, check out.
So how many area schools are involved? Do you have any percentage wise, maybe like not very many?
I could prepare quite
No,
a
you
few.
don't have to. A lot, like, are we
So-
late getting on, or we
Well,
forefront?
we're in the middle.
Just in the middle?
I would say we're in the middle. The high school was a year ahead of the middle school. The state of Maine offered to pay for the bar coach and the bar program. And then the high school had it for 1 year and it looked like it was
Yeah,
worth pursuing, and so then we joined.
And I'd also like to reiterate what she said about, I really appreciate the time and effort you put into these presentations, and very good, you know. Some of the best ones we've seen.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Any other questions or comments for Jason? Think you can go home, you put on stage.
I'm in Washington.
Thanks, Jason.
Mrs. Thompson, do you want to check and see if the students here, and I'll just go through the hiring while you're checking, and if not, we'll go right after you.
That first or?
I will just, if they're here, we'll.
So that, we'll do that.
While she's checking, I'll just report new hires. We have Hannah Davis that came on as the Darrell High School secretary. Jada Childs, I think there's an S on that, my bad, will be the new building grounds transportation administrative assistant when Terry retires in February. Jada's going to take over. Jada will start on December 29th, so she has 6 weeks of training with Terry before Terry's done. Sarah Collins is going to be the 1-year ed tech in special ed at the middle school. That is a 1-year position. We have a bunch of stipend positions that were filled. Darrell High School girls JV basketball, Alyssa McTire. Middle school boys JV, Reggie Weston. High school boys JV, Mateo Lapointe. High school varsity softball, Scott Robbins. High school varsity baseball, Derek Volmerk, let's say that right. Darrell High School JV baseball will be Datana Bourget, I don't know if I'm saying that right,
I was gonna
sorry.
say.
The middle school softball will be Matt Libby, the high school track and field, head coach will be Dunham Bradbury, assistant track and field will be Megan Morrison. And we had 1 resignation since we last met, and that's Aaron Hartmanel, trip utility driver. And I did get a question about like, why are there so many coaching positions? And some of them are not at the 5-year point, so if they do not work for us and they're a coach, they have to reapply each year for the first 5 years, so that's some of it. And then we had some that.
So there was a question that I had, and I won't bring up the situation, but there was a situation. So the question I had is if you have a coach and they were already in play, why do they have to be retired?
So the contract is very clear that if you do not work for us
Yes.
in the district, then you have to apply for that position every year for the first 5 years. There's no guarantee of a return position until after 5 years.
So that's why the position was available and multiple people applied again.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's really complicated.
That was
because-
the question I had in my mind.
Yeah,
We got
so
to-
and when we post the position, I am very adamant with my administrators that you're going to hire the best person available. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's, and not that people did a poor job or, you know,
No, no.
or not.
I
It's
just wondered why the position was,
Yeah,
had to be.
So
retired.
sometimes that does happen. It's unfortunate. We try not to have that happen,
Sure.
but it does occasionally happen.
Okay. Got it.
No students?
Yeah, not yet.
Okay, so why don't we go to your report then, and if they show up, great, and if not, we'll do it at the end.
Okay.
Right. How about the fall?
Good.
So, I'm gonna go over. You may have.
Wait. Every time you look at the agenda, it's just the same to change something.
I just put it in more now.
Oh, still not. I said, what are they doing? You just get it with the, now we gotta. I just said, really? Technology's a queen. I know. Oh, I do have it. Seventh grade. Okay.
Okay, so feel free to pass that on, wishing. So things we'll cover, are the enrollment numbers, talk about the first time doing a ninth grade family night this fall, attendance. A little update on the cell phone policy, because I know that was a big discussion over the summer, just check in where that's at. Guidance department updates, and then extended learning opportunities updates. Here are our enrollment numbers, we're at 225, and I believe 9, sorry, you're good, if you could go back to. We've had 9 transfer in, 14 transfer out due to things such as homeschool. We have a couple going to adult ed, which is, when we sit down with the students at the guidance level, trying to figure out the best pathways for kids. And then things like expulsion, when kids are expelled, they are unenrolled for that time period as well. So those are some of the things that are contributing to those numbers. Feel free to fill those. We I've heard from some families about how we get families through the door at the high school level. I think traditionally at the high school level, it becomes harder to get families through the door when it's not sort of sports related. We have a big sports community. I see high numbers show up at games. And then also our end of the year activities like candlelight and graduation are big as well in this district. But trying to figure out, how to rethink parent-teacher conferences or open houses, to get people through the door and have engaging, meaningful interactions with families. So we tried this out this year. I really do believe that transition from middle school to high school is huge. It's a real shock to our kids' systems, and we implemented some new things in the spring, getting kids here. I went over to the middle school. So did Brenna, our guidance counselor. So we focused in on a 9th grade family night this fall, on the first day of school for 9th graders. We provided a pizza dinner, reviewed as a chance for me to review school-wide expectations with families, because there are a lot of differences, even just down to A and B days and things like that. Region 9, our battle schedule is different, the expectations, credits, and standards, right? To all those things. Who do you go to switch classes for ad drop? So we reviewed that. We did some raffling of Deargo prizes, and then they rotated through real short 6-minute classes. And then we had about 50 people in attendance, which I think was better. I had some folks tell me no one was going to show up, so there's a start there. Yeah, so, and that's for just the 9th grade.
I know my husband, it's the best thing.
There are things I change and adapt, and I reached out to our staff and said, what are your thoughts for this trial run? They said the rotation, so the kids just did 8 rotations during the day because of the freshman orientation. Then they did 8 rotations of classes with their family at night at 6 minutes. And I think that's just probably too much. And also if you're asking different, sort of able-bodied people to try to rotate to classes at 6-minute intervals, we have to switch it up a little bit for next year, but overall, we tried it, we're gonna continue to work on it, and continue to try to get folks in the door. Feel free to go to the next one. Talking about attendance, and Jason put this up for the middle school. This is ours over the past 5 years for the high school. Last year, we had a chronic absenteeism of 22.1%. It was below statewide average, just above the district average, but you can see that it was the best percentage over the past 5 years. So when I pulled data recently, we're looking at right now, we're at about 24% chronic absenteeism this year. So lingering on that line, and I'll really be looking at that data over this year to see what variables factor into that, but we want to keep working on that. Although in the past 3 years, we've seen a nice decline there. money talks at the high school, so Jason has his point system. Kids really at the high school looking for money. We got a great donation from Oxford Federal Credit Union. They donated $300 for first semester, $300 for second semester. Students will be put into a raffle if they have greater than 90% attendance. And we'll draw that, and then in the first semester, we'll draw that in the second semester, trying to promote that attendance that's better than the chronic absenteeism. So that's sort of what we're trying to do there. Feel free to go to the next slide. And so just looking at that, our semesters are a little off. I think there's more days in second semester, but we're looking at students not being able to not being absent for more than 8 days to be in that raffle. And those are sort of the months of our school calendar for that, for the next one. Cell phones and personal electronic devices. We've given high schoolers, and I sort of said it on the first day, I met with all grade levels, knowing that this is gonna be a point of maybe contention for our high school students. I had Pam there, I had Sarah there, just sort of all showing us sort of that support around this policy. We have talked to students and gave them kind of 3 options. They can lock it in the pouch upon arrival. I stand at the door every morning. Doors open at 7:30. We have the magnetic devices set up and a sign that says, if you have electronic devices, you need to have them locked up. Students who don't want to deal with the pouch can turn them into the main office on arrival. And we have a handful of students who just opt to do that, not have to worry about it. Or our older students leave it in the car, or leave it at home. So those were the options we laid out day one, when we introduced the yonder pouches. Feel free to go to the next slide. We've had, I've addressed, and I would say when Pam is covering our building, she's also supported with it. We've had 50 violations for not having it locked in the pouch or having it powered down. But that is, I'll just talk to you a little bit about the violations. That seems like a lot, but it's not a kid taking a video in class and then posting it online. That's not the violation. It's not a kid in the bathroom posting mean stuff on TikTok. That's not the violation. It's not a kid streaming Netflix when I'm in an observation. These are all like, we told you the rules. We see your phone is in your backpack. We see your phone is in your pocket. So some of them drop out on the floor and we're like, that's a bummer because we told you the rules. So I would much rather address violations that are clear cut like that than try to investigate bullying, cyberbullying. I will tell you, last year, there are multiple instances of investigations that took several days. When kids post things on social media that are mean about other students, sometimes I will never be able to find out who posted that because it's on a social media website and I don't have the rights to that. And in my position, when we're trying to get bullying posts off the internet, that's also incredibly difficult from my position. So I will take the 50 phone violations of seeing them out and kids not following those rules than I would having to continuously look into inappropriate posts, recording. And I genuinely said this at our 9th grade family night, like I truly believe kids deserve to come to school and not worry about text messages that are talking rudely about them all day long. Not worry about sitting in class and being recorded and then have it posted forever. I think there's more to do with educating our kids and families about, the harmful behaviors around technology. This is sort of a quick fix, because there's much more to do. I will say that one of the things we're grappling as a school is because we've given out those options of leave it in the main office, leave it at home, or lock it up. There are kids that don't lock it up and leave it in their bag, and only until they get caught will we know about it. And so I am working through procedures of how to standardize our process a little more, because there are definitely a large chunk of kids who are just keeping it in their bag and not locking it up. I will say, I don't see phones at lunch, I don't see phones when I walk in the hallway, I don't see phones when I am observing classes. There's a definite difference in our building around that, but there's a lot of work to be done. I would love to get to the point where kids are just following the expectations, right? But we know, because we work in education, that, you know, we have to set boundaries and then hold kids accountable to them.
And to be clear, it's not 50 different kids.
Not 50 different, you're right, not 50 different kids. Although I think some of, you know, I think it could be because there are kids who are keeping it in their bags and not locking it up and just haven't got caught yet, but. It is, you know, there are some kids that are on their third violation. And so I've met with some families and we're going through the sort of ladder of consequences on our end. Guidance updates. So Mrs. Parent has completed individualized senior meetings at this point in time with all 59 of our senior students, talking about college, workforce, military gap year, and trying to navigate resources to each kid and really hone in on what their post-secondary plan is. We've had, as of today, approximately 49 college acceptances have been reported by students, and there are a handful off to the side there, including Hudson, Thomas College, New England College. And I won't go through all of them, but, you know, nice in November to have that rolling in. Go to the next slide. Concurrent enrollment, some of you might know this as dual enrollment courses, so kids can get college credit for free. We call them concurrent enrollment, and we have 83 enrollments across 9 high school courses thus far. Last year it was 63, so that's up. Students are really taking advantage of getting free college credits, so that's awesome. Continuing to try to find ways to build relevance through guidance, through classes. You know, that's one of the areas I want to continue to push at Derigo. So we have a service learning credit. It's a 0.5 credit for 60 hours of community service. A majority of our kids will do this through teacher aid. So they'll have a learning lab, they'll have a teacher they like to connect with, and then they'll do copying or, you know, running errands for that teacher to support. I would like to make that service learning credit, there are more options, more, you know, continue to build the relevance there. So one of the things we added working with Charlie at the elementary school is, we have an elementary school aide, so like reading buddies and mentors. We have one student doing that this year and she liked it so much, she advocated to do it for a second semester, even though she already earned her credit. So she goes over there and supports in a first grade classroom, which I think is awesome. But continuing to look at how we can amp up that service learning. So if you have community service projects that you know of and could connect me to, I would love to give more options, get kids out working in the community for that 60 hours. Into the next slide. We are also implementing, in the process of developing a mentoring program right in our building. Jason sent the 9th graders to us and we saw that there are some high needs for support. And I also agree with Jason that I'm a big believer in accountability, but I'm also, if we're gonna hold kids accountable, we do need to figure out ways to provide support for them as well. And so we have some awesome upperclassmen and we're trying to figure out how we develop a program where we're pairing our upperclassmen with 9th graders to really role model and build those relationships with the 9th graders coming in. So that's hopefully gonna get rolled out for second semester.
Oh, yeah.
We have our extended learning opportunities, ELO, with Mr. Preble. He has 9 students in the program currently, and off to the side, you can see some of their placements. It's not all of them, but just a few that I threw up there. He's made some new connections with local banks and paper. He's now taken over the sort of supporting with the junior job shadow through Cougar Paw, that's a requirement. And he's just set up 2 students shadowing, and that should be imaging department at Franklin Memorial Hospital. He also teaches 2 sections of a digital media class that I'm really impressed with some of the things coming out of that class. They just did a stop motion film project, which was phenomenal. And right now they're working on creating commercials and advertisement. So, kids seem to really like that class. And there's a million other things I could talk to you and update you about the high school. There's so many moving parts to a high school. Especially as we're trying to meet the needs of kids after they graduate and go into the real world. So I just picked a few to throw your way, but feel free to ask questions.
I have about the community service you talked about. I'm the old person. Well, you might remember, when they had community service, they used to go into the, well, it used to be closed. Kids would go to the elementary school and help in the classrooms. There was athletic aides for Sarah, the athletic director. They helped teachers, they were in the kitchen, my son helped there. There was multiple things, the kids had choices to do, and then it got where it got to 1 project a day. I don't know why, but there's.
Yeah, and we still have those options up, and we've talked about supporting with coaching. But I would also like to see them out in the community too. Yeah, I'd like to see more options. We do community service days in the fall and the spring. But it's 60 hours, and I just think that's could be used so well. You get a 0.5 credit. Not all high schools have a 0.5 credit where you're getting it by doing community service. I'd like to see more students going out. And part of that is us having sort of a menu for students where we can make those connections.
That's where the credit originated from.
Yeah,
And then
so it's a work in progress, but
Yeah,
if you do have ideas, send them my way because I would happily take them.
So I have a question going back to what you're talking about, your seniors and their plans for moving forward in life. And one of the things that came up was the military, and I noticed that we do not have military recruiters come to our school. Why is that?
We do.
They come in and they
Yeah.
set up.
Yep.
Because
They
I've been
do.
told that they're not allowed in by one of the recruiters.
Oh, no, they've been here.
They've been here. In fact, we had recruiters on the senior day. It was like September 26th. And it was a session that kids could sign up for. Talk to us.
I'd be interested in attending something like that.
Yeah, and last year, and I can't remember what branch, but they set up a pull-up bar in the cafeteria during lunch last year, and we had some kids cranking out pull-ups. So yeah. no,
So
that's-
we actually have some kids in our school system whose dad is active duty Army recruiter who live right here in town.
Awesome.
And so those are the guys who brought us the arch for the.
Yeah. Yeah.
But did you know with an active duty child in school that you can get funding for military kids that are attending public school? I just thought I'd throw that out.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Just thought I would throw that out there.
They've always been in here. They come in during lunch a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
okay,
had
good.
that representative.
So I'm
of the
wondering
Air
if it's the
Force.
active duty people or if it's the guardians or.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's the specific role, so they usually reach out to myself for guidance and set up a day where they can come in, similar to college reps. That
So
will come
maybe
in.
I'll just mention that he needs to reach out directly to you.
Yeah, usually the Air Force has a rep that, like Air Force military, they have a specific rep that does that.
As a former army person who wouldn't be in my education today because I wouldn't have been there without the army. So I just think it's a good option for not everybody, but for some kids, it's a good.
Yeah,
And our school
absolutely.
is.
Oh, okay. Any other questions? Bruce?
More, you talked a little bit about the cell phones and you said there's been 50 violations, but it was like 50 individual violations. With the violations, what violation do they get? I mean, what's happening to them? I mean, if it's a small pool of kids who have already, you said some have already had 3 violations, what's being done?
Yeah, it's a layered approach. So their first offense is an after school detention and if they have to turn in the phones for the rest of the day. Second offense is 2 after-school shift, school detentions, third goes to in school, turning their phone in for 2 weeks and a parent meeting, fourth would be out of school, so, yeah, layered approach to those.
The last thing is follow-up is I've talked to a lot of, I see a lot of people, talk to a lot of people, and this year I've heard so many young students saying, we're actually talking.
They are, It's
We
refreshing.
see, we talk with these, we're changing classes, you're seeing conversations going on. Welcome back to the dark ages, we're still alive.
It feels good. I think if I could get, the underlying piece is knowing kids aren't falling, like I know it's in their backpack. I'm not gonna search kids' backpacks for phones, but, so I know that's happening, but it doesn't diminish that the culture has totally changed. Like a skill, that we want our kids to have when they leave is to be able to have conversations with other humans. And so I've seen that, and I thought it would be harder at lunch, you know, I thought things like that would be harder, but it's been so refreshing. Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, thank you so much. I enjoyed the cell phone, and you had fought for one, tried to do one piece, and then I found that was the person who had violated it over medical.
Listen, you know,
Be a character, that's all I can say.
I always appreciate honesty.
Yeah. All right, Rachel's gonna come back, but I will declare, wait a minute, we gotta make a motion first. To go into, enter into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA subsection B for discussion or consideration by the school board of suspension or expulsion of public school student. Could I get a motion,
So
please?
moved.
And a second?
A second.
All those in favor? Okay, once everybody leaves. And you'll stay, yeah. I'll give Rachel time to say. When I go. Perhaps it doesn't get more. Are we good? Okay, we are good. I entertain a motion. Let's say student, whatever motion that is.
I make a motion that we expel this student for the remainder of the school year.
Do we have a second? Second. Second. Comments or questions? All those, you ready? All those in favor? Opposed? Oh, you got everybody in favor? Not, put your hand up, sorry. Okay, that's all right. That's everybody's opinion. Opposed? Abstain? I'm pretty sure the motion carries. Is it? We're about to do that. Yeah, you're gonna have to do. Oh, come on. Nobody needs to be sorry. You don't, none of us have to do this. Absolutely none of us. You were 458, we need 501. I didn't hear you. You're at 458, we need 501. So if I count no votes versus yes votes. Okay. The yeses are at 458. And the no votes are? And the no votes are. Let me take out. Because I've got absent. We don't have them.
Maybe it would be good to explain this with what we did so long.
Yeah, weighted vote, so each member has a different, count on their vote.
Oh, you know what though? I've gotta recount your votes because not everyone's here. So that's if we've got two
Right.
absent.
So
Okay,
it's just
so
the people.
give me a second.
Yeah.
Thanks. Because I have to do.
I'm gonna have all sorts of minus, I guess that I did not, do that. You said the same, that's not.
Okay, you do have majority because it's 458 to 362. Yeah, so the motion carries.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Okay, so you're out, I didn't know if you understood, you're out till August, but correct, yes,
So they just said.
yeah, so then, so.
But if you make some changes.
I believe that's what we. So. All right, we did everything else, we don't have a student rep yet. Policies, we do need to set a date, Joy, you brought up, Brad had asked me about K9 searches, which I,
Yeah, I wanna.
well, I looked
talk
at
about
the
all of
policy.
this, I mean, I really wanna know when we can have a full discussion about this openly. When can we have that?
Well, we can have it at the next board meeting.
Yes, can we put it on the agenda, because there's a lot to say on this, and I feel like it needs to be more expressed, we need more time. Please,
More time to talk.
to talk
Oh,
about
to
this,
talk.
yes.
Yes. But
it's weighing heavily, and I feel like we don't have the proper time in front of students and stuff like that.
well, it's not the time
No.
to do an action
Yes,
with the problem of
yes,
drug
yes.
use.
Could we have that on the agenda
Yeah.
where we can have an open discussion?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Maybe that would be good to have that, so we have. the public.
Yes, because I went into what we currently have and what we.
I would love that, thank you.
The policy though that we have does let us do that, bring,
Yes, and it lays out the
Yes.
exact,
Yeah.
how the process is.
Yeah.
We do not. They don't go near the kids. They go
No, no.
near the parking lot.
Yeah.
Go near the lockers and they go near the bags.
I'm sorry, but I have to go. I haven't seen my kids in 2 days. So I'm like.
Well, I took right up on the next, putting on the agenda, a discussion over what we can do with our issue with drug abuse.
Well, and just the more fact of like how we, what's
As a
going
board, what
on
can we
and
do?
how
What
we
is
all
our
get that, because I
steps?
know we feel differently, and I want to express a few opinions also about what's going on and how we can handle it, and I feel like we just haven't had that time. And we're hit with this emotion right there in our face, and it's like, I agree, but I don't agree, you know, so. It's-
Finance committee?
Well, for audits back in, there was a
Not quite.
meeting planned for December.
Yeah, when,
I couldn't
I will
find,
let
I
you
couldn't
know.
find it in my email.
I don't think we have one on the books.
when, because like I'm supposed to be
I
there,
must
but I
be
never
thinking
know.
of building friends.
Yeah, you missed that one.
Yeah, I know. I
Why?
was putting up how big trusses in my house.
Okay, well, there you go.
Missed the bustle thing too. Visual.
When, fine,
I-
when,
I-
They don't have a
They
date.
don't have it scheduled yet.
all right.
Curriculum,
Yes, we just had a curriculum committee meeting, today. So Jason gave us a lot of updates on, how we're, first of all, the website for how we, let the community know, anybody with interest know what curriculum we're focusing on, where our standards are, what standards we're focusing on. That was a nice update. If you're curious at all, and you want to know what's being taught within RSU 56, we do have a website for that. And you can go there and look in detail, right down to the particular syllabus for a class, and it was nice. We talked about updating our biology text, which, if I remember right, the standard biology text was it 2006?
Yeah.
9?
1999 to 2006.
Yeah,
1999 was
the
the
advanced
camp-
one was actually.
Yeah,
1999.
1999.
We're also looking at I think a science text as well, and he gave us some updates of the materials we have on hand with some good decision making around how we set ourselves up for the future, for, consumables, books, products that we need. I think the team did a great job with that. So we left him with a recommendation, because he had asked, okay, what do you want me focusing on? Yeah. He had said that some of the social studies teachers in high school were looking at how they can make things way more cool. I think that's the best way to put it. And the class is more engaging. We gave some direction around main studies, constitutional founding studies. I would like to see some more detail how we can make those classes more engaging and robust.
Thank you, buildings and grounds.
We met in the 14th of this month. Kenny met with us, gave us kind of an overview of everything that's going on. It's amazing if you listen to how much he goes through. And he gave us a breakdown from the oil consumption that we go through from last year and previous years. The propane and diesel. We definitely are finding a savings in a lot of our energies because we've done so many improvements in our buildings. I mean, to a point where we've got buildings, boilers are being shut down in the summer instead of running through heating hot water. Instead, we've got smaller ones where we've got hot water heaters instead of running a big boiler. So we've had some significant savings, but unfortunately, energy is more expensive. So, I mean, we might be consuming less, but we're paying pretty well close to the same amount each time. He ran through a kind of a list of what they do for yearly inspections for each year to check on the buildings. If you ran down through it, I'm not gonna read them all through. Our buildings are in really good shape for old buildings. I gotta give kudos to our group that's do all of our building and maintenance and everything. I mean, they put their heart and soul in these buildings, and if you look around, let's look at these buildings, they're in really good shape. We've invested as a community and as board, we've invested in these buildings into our students to give them a safe transportation, give them safe buildings and secure buildings, and we've succeeded in doing that. One major thing we've got coming up is that if you've ever noticed the door that if you came in on this side, or if you happen to come on to the door that's on by central office, those two doors are going to be replaced. Fortunately, with the help of Pam, we found some grant money that allowed us to secure some money to replace these two doors, because if you stand by them, you find, see that they're as old, well, probably not as old as me, but they're old enough. And they need to be replaced, and they're gonna get replaced finally with some nice new doors. As like I said, it's just, it's amazing the amount of work that they go through on a continuous basis to keep our buildings as well maintained as they are. Our buses that we have, we went through, had everything inspected. A lot of buses have to be, school districts have to be inspected twice a year. Ours have to be done once a year. That's kudos to our group that's taking care of our fleet. And it's also kudos to us because we've got good fleets. There's a lot of districts who have let their systems fall behind. We've been able to keep everything up to par and always looking at improving our fleet. We've got to look at right now, we're replacing one of the small buses. But we're not gonna get rid of the small bus. We applied to see that we could get another bus that hang on to that small bus instead of having to rotate it out, because we can use it for other purposes. Instead of sending a big bus to certain trips, we can use that small bus, but we can still have a brand new bus because we've got different trips that involved in using that has a lift in it. So again, very good shape. Everything's looking good. Keep moving forward.
All right.
Barbara, I heard that you wanted to talk policy, but I didn't get any information to put in the minutes.
Oh, just that we need to fix the date,
Okay,
and I haven't done that yet, and I'll do it. I gotta work
Okay.
around.
I
All
just
right.
wanted to make sure I had it in my notes. Thank you.
Okay, and you had about putting on the agenda.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you. Personnel,
We met almost a month ago, so I actually just pulled up our notes to remind myself about what we had talked about last month. So a few of the key takeaways, from that personnel committee meeting. We talked about our hiring process, for stipended positions. There have been quite a lot of public discussion around, that process, and as a group, we thought it'd be important just to review that. A couple key action items moving forward, for stipended positions, and we saw some of the results of that tonight with the reporting out. We really want to be proactive, particularly for seasonal coaching positions, that we always have an evaluation at the conclusion of a season or of an activity or a program, and have that documented. And then after that, that if it is something that would be open to post again, because I'm an advisor or coach, have not been in the role for 5 years, that we do that in a timely way, so that positions are filled. For programs that might have summer activities or things, that they have a chance to get those organized. And that really ultimately everything comes down to communication. So just trying to make sure that we have clear, timely, proactive communication. We talked about our process for exit interviews. We do conduct exit interviews for staff that are leaving, regardless of whether it's a retirement, someone moving on to a different position, whatever that might be. We review those annually, so we had a meeting in the summer to go through that review process. We talked about just our approach and methodology for exit interviews. So those are sent out electronically, so it doesn't have to be a face-to-face meeting. We feel like some people might prefer that. Gives them the opportunity to speak very candidly or type very candidly, but we always also offer the opportunity for an in-person exit interview and discussion for anyone who might like to do that. So that's something we want to continue. I think that it's a way for us just to kind of get honest, good feedback from staff, both those that have been with us for a long time, and if there are those that are moving on to other opportunities and there are things that we can do better, it's always helpful to know that. We also looked at the personnel committee policy because there is actually a policy for our committees and our roles. And there's one item in the policy that I guess I had questioned, in that the personnel committee's role and responsibilities includes promotion of a positive working climate for employees. And I guess I wasn't sure that we were really fulfilling that role and responsibility. And so we talked about actions that administrators are taking, obviously, to do that. But then talked about how we as board members or members of the personnel committee might do better at fulfilling that responsibility. So we've got a couple things that I actually need to check with Pam on note cards. But we've talked about having handwritten notes that the members of the personnel committee will actually send new hires, welcoming them. When we have folks, staff members or others that present to the board, just kind of giving them a kudos and a thank you. I actually saw in the newsletter today that there was a group that traveled down to Salem. And so we had a nice presentation to the board about that, and it was neat to see in the newsletter that they were able to bring that into fruition. So I guess if you guys think of other things that you feel like we could do as a board in that effort, like, don't hesitate to let us know. We'll certainly try to do it as a team. I don't want it to fall on any one person, but we kind of thought if each of us took a meeting, responsible for a couple cards. It's not a lot of time, and I think it's a nice gesture to show appreciation, and also words of welcome for those staff that might be joining us.
Because I'm supposed to be fourth and no one's sent me when-
They email, we get emails when the committee meetings are, is it? Yes.
So,
Yeah, do you, okay, so I had announced it at the board meeting right before this, our meeting was October 29th. So I had announced it at the board meeting prior to, and it would have been on the agenda, right, in the
Yes.
minutes?
Yeah.
So I didn't send out a reminder email. Yes, yeah, okay, so, yeah, double check, cause like I say, I
But I
usually,
just want to catch up on it a little bit, because that sounds really good.
absolutely, so did you see the meeting minutes, because Pam emails the meeting minutes to everybody?
Yeah.
Not from the personnel.
See, from the 29th.
No, she sends it to the whole board.
Oh, good.
Yes, the
Yeah.
whole board gets the minutes
Like we
from
got curriculum
policy
tonight, because we have curriculum
curriculum.
meeting.
for everything. The buildings and grounds.
So I think you actually sent it out that night.
I usually do.
Usually
When the
have
meeting's
something
over,
that she
I
sends
would
it.
send, because that's the only way I can remember to do it.
When's the next meeting?
We don't have another one scheduled. Honestly, personnel, we only meet usually once or maybe twice a year.
Okay.
Once at the beginning of the year and once to go over exit interviews. Just members of the committee, like, we'll have a lot of emails as we get into interview seasons. But otherwise, we haven't had a lot of things. Sometimes we need to review job descriptions and things. But I think we're in a pretty good place right now in terms of having job descriptions pretty well set and organized. Okay. So yeah, so no meeting scheduled right now. Double check and see if you see the minutes, and if not,
I just checked, and you definitely were on the list of people I sent.
and check that out.
All right, ad hoc is January 26th.
December 2nd.
Oh, sorry, I was doing the dropout prevention, December 2nd, I can't be there.
I know it came out really quick.
That's, yeah, I think, is that a Tuesday? Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it can be
First.
I'm coming back. All right, dropout prevention.
Yes, we just had a meeting. And have a pretty part.
Okay. I can look
And you were
those up.
there.
I can look those up here.
Oh, I do know.
I just had like a brick wall.
Well, if you get to the- I did get at the playoff football game, we got over 20 of the little coupons, a
Yeah,
popcorn and french fry.
yes.
Cause we had gotten one before, but then boy, oh boy, and we get them
I
from
can
the,
take the drop off prevention, I remember.
yeah, now you remember.
So we had a drop off prevention committee meeting.
Yes.
Pam, can you remind me, well, I missed the previous meeting, and there was some discussion around schedules across them, but I don't think we really went much down that road. We actually talked about how the board could give some greater teeth to our, chronic absenteeism problem. I keep saying tardiness, but, or truancy, but it's chronic absenteeism. We saw some numbers tonight. That's a problem. I think on a state level, there's, 18 days and everything is, doesn't matter if you miss it, doesn't matter if it's excused or not. But we had really talked a lot about asking the leadership and the teachers to find out what can the board do to support some greater teeth and accountability. And they're supposed to come back with us on a specific date, next
Well,
meeting.
Yeah, the next meeting is January 26th
Yes.
at 3 o'clock.
And they're gonna. I asked them to, like, what's your wish list if you had like complete control here to do what needs to be done? Some of that's certainly within our control, and some of that's. DHHS, maybe DOE. So I'll be curious to see what they come back with, though I suspect Pam probably already knows the list.
Right, and technology, Brian's not here.
Don't believe they've met.
Oh, and there's a short building grounds after the meeting, correct?
Yes,
Correct.
they're short.
Yes. All right, could I get a motion
So moved.
and second?
Sorry.
Bruce was first, all those in favor? Night, night.